What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Brass Ring Media Podcast for Thursday, May 1st, 2025. I'm Zach Haydorn. I'm your host. That is Tyler Sage. He is your other host. Tyler, man, it's already May. We have a new era of Brass Ring Media upon us. Dude, it's been a good week. How are you?
Good. No Justin Timberlake memes on that?
No, man, I should have had one ready to go. Yeah.
All right, that's good. Yeah, new era, new Nitro-inspired background here? Question mark?
A little bit.
Okay. Zach does imaging. Surprising no one, probably. I came up with the name, though.
You did, and actually, you know what? I can't even take credit for this. This was Dominic. This was Dominic D'Angelo, our new partner.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about what's going on? I guess
I will. Yes, I will. And it's not just backgrounds, although that's a perk here. But yes, if you missed the news yesterday, we announced that Brass Ring Media and One True Sport are officially merging together as one under Brass Ring Media as a whole. So One True Sport kind of goes away, although it doesn't go away forever. It's still in our color scheme. It still has a big place in our our history here. But just in terms of resources and being able to have a more of a cohesive approach to what we do, more talent, more shows, more content for you guys, it just made sense to kind of put everything under one banner. And so that's what you'll see. That's what is here for you now. So as we continue on, there'll be more surprises, some announcements about some new shows. There'll be added member perks. I'll talk about membership in a minute here, but Brass Ring Media grows exponentially. And so does One True Sport within this partnership. Dominic D'Angelo, who you all know, is hopping on board and helping us out in a leadership role with the One True Sport with the Brass Ring Media team. So it's great to have him and his experience. And he's a really, really strong analyst. And so I'm just super pumped and super excited about what we're doing here. So if for some reason you haven't checked us out on Patreon, or you haven't checked out our Substack newsletter, or aren't subscribed to our channel here on YouTube, do it right now, because we got some really, really cool stuff coming for the rest of this year. Any words on that, Tyler?
Not really. I'm just excited. Exactly. I talked offline about this, and it's been quite the journey for both of us. The last 2 years?
2 years plus, man.
Yeah. So, it's been good. It's been it's a definitely something that is a labor of love, and you guys all being here, whether it's your first time listening or you've listened to every single show, which there are certainly people out there that are and will listen to this. I've listened to probably every flagship show that Zach and I have done.
Mm-hmm.
So, couldn't do it without you, and excited to go into the future. But it is wild just to think of the trajectory and be like, hey, we're two guys just talking wrestling.
Talking wrestling, man. No, for sure. And yeah, thank you to everybody who's tuned in and watched once or every time. We appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it, and a lot more to come. And thank you. So exciting stuff. We've got Trucker John in the chat. First time listening. I love this. What's up, Trucker John? Thanks for listening, man. We appreciate it. And that's what's so fun about kind of expanding like this, is that we get to talk to new people. Obviously we have our regular audience who we love, but man, it is fun to hear from people like Trucker John being like, hey, catching you guys for the first time. So thank you, Trucker John, for joining. Hopefully you can, stay tuned in and check us out again. We would love that. And I'll talk about membership in here in a minute. So if you love what you hear, man, head over there and see what else we do, because we've got a lot on the table. All right. Trucker John asks a question here. You guys, WWE and AEW, yeah, we cover both. We cover both pretty substantially all throughout the week, both on our podcasts here, but also in written form in our Substack, which you can find by just searching Brass Ring Media Substack. In addition to the Brass Ring Media podcast on this YouTube channel, we've got a host of other shows that drop there too. We got Nocturnal Knockout, which is a Wednesday evening show. We've got the Kick-Ash podcast with Ashley on Saturday mornings, which is a tremendous show. And then also Dominic D'Angelo will be bringing in a brand new show starting up in a couple weeks on Monday nights. So lots of fun stuff that you can sink your teeth into outside of just our flagship show here. But so hopefully that answers that question for you, Trucker. On that note, while I'm at it, it was worth saying that we do offer all of these podcasts all these shows here on YouTube as audio podcasts. So just go to your favorite podcast app, download us, just search Brass Ring Media. We'll pop up. It's called Brass Ring Media Network. It'll get you all of the shows that fall under our banner. And it's a good way to take us on the go. If you don't want to or aren't able to watch on YouTube, you can do it the old school way, just with your phone and a podcast, and off you go. All right. Let's let me just plug up the rest of the stuff while we're at it here, while we're talking business. We do have Brass Ring Media membership on the table for anybody who is interested. We have started Brass Ring Media about a little over 2 years ago, and we couldn't do it without our members. And so we offer a member-only podcast once a week for our members. All of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows we do for members. And we also have a Discord community for our members to hang out in. All sorts of other perks pop up as well, but it's only $4 a month. That's it. So we try to keep it very affordable. $4 a month gets you access to everything. So give us a shot. You can see it at the top of the screen there. Patreon.com/BrassRingMedia is where you can go to find our membership. And we'd love to have you. We'd love to do all we can to earn your business. And I think we provide a lot of value coming back at you. So Brass Ring Media on Patreon, patreon.com/BrassRingMedia. I have the live chat open, as you guys have seen. Trucker John in there. We got American Lover in there, some others. Super chats are open too. If you guys are able and willing to drop us a super chat, make a contribution, pause for the cause there for Brass Ring Media. Thank you, and we'll get to your topic or your question for sure as the show progresses. All right. Well, let's get into some wrestling talk. Usually WWE chat is our kind of like our Tuesday theme. So we'll be more AEW focused today. But Tyler, what did you think of Adam Page kind of beating Kyle Fletcher and advancing to the Owen Hart Cup Tournament finals against Will Ospreay? To me, like when you saw the brackets come out, this was the match. I think you could have made your case for Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. I think that case would have landed better had we not seen that match so often, throughout the last 6 months. But I think this is how you want those tournaments to go for the most part. Two top guys colliding for a very, very big opportunity to main event All In for the AEW World Championship. So I like this. Yes, it's babyface versus babyface. I don't love that, but it's a tournament, so things play a little bit different within tournaments. So I'm fine with how this went, and that match last night was hella good between Fletcher and Page. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is like first of all, I like this, everything you just said, right? I did not, the next time I need to see Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay is for that AEW World title at a big AEW show.
Correct.
Not battling to get to that title match. So good work there. Yeah, this is how you'd think the bracket would played out. I could have, there's a universe where Swerve was that wild card and you restructure some stuff and you do Page and Swerve in the final here to be like a real main event of Double or Nothing with Anarchy in the Arena being your co-main.
Yep.
This worked tremendously. And this is the second prime, I guess, of Adam Page in AEW.
Yeah.
You've got the story leading up to the, him and Kenny, the pause, and then him winning the title, and then his whole kind of run being super forgettable personally. Losing to MJF, I can't even tell you who he defended against in between in that run. And, it feels like we're almost back to drinking beers in the crowd level of Hangman overness. And that's him basically aligning with Swerve in one way, shape, or form without really doing that as of yet. And yeah, I mean, and being an incredible wrestler who's still like 34, 33, still
that?
relative. Paige.
Yeah. I don't even know if he's that old, is he?
I think he's 33. If you want to look it up for me.
I got it. I got you. I'm like the age person. 33. Nailed it.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at ages.
God, when I see that he's born in 1991, I'm like, God, that's insane. Anyway.
Well, yeah, got bad news for a lot of other up-and-comers then.
Yeah. Oh, right. Seriously. Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like that second prime for him. And I didn't really think we'd ever get here. So that's like, but just like watching last night, like he's such a good professional wrestler. Like the way that match is structured, the way him gunning for the buckshot after that series, even getting the second one in there. It's just like, yeah, really well laid out match. Kyle Fletcher also obviously is a blue chip prospect that is like the future of the company. And him and Paige having a good match is a great sign for both to have more of those matches later on. So like this a lot. And I like Paige and Ospreay. That forces Ospreay to make sure the crowd's behind him. And, you know, now that they have to like, I think there's a point where these guys tag with each other to take on the Callis family leading up to the pay-per-view, which is like fine, I guess. But, you know, there's sort of that Ospreay Swerve dynamic when Ospreay challenged Swerve for the title and they're both baby faces. I think it's that style of match where this is, you know, a 5-star match. If it's not, then it's like kind of a bad sign, which is like a great setup for a match. And, you know, I think we all think Will Ospreay is going to win it. But if anyone is going to potentially beat Will Ospreay, it would be Adam Page in this moment or Swerve Strickland in this moment, depending on what they want to do. But it's the most likely person to have a small percentage chance to beat Ospreay in this situation. You know, the match is going to be really good. So I like everything about it. I like what it does for Ospreay, for Fletcher, and for Page in the result here. It was just a tremendous match. Like, I wonder which one Dave gives 5 stars to. Is it both matches, the opener and the closer?
Well, it's definitely the opener.
Yeah. I mean, it's a TV match, right? And I'm not saying, like, I like both a lot. But, you know, I think 5-star anything on television is, like, impossible, in my personal opinion, just with ad breaks and the length and the story and everything. So we'll see, though. I think both of those are very, very Davey matches.
I really liked the match, too. And I liked it. I love when AEW is able to kind of convey like the stakes and the impact of what's going on in the ring. It's why like I've been kind of become numb to like the Young Bucks style tag that opened the show, which is undoubtedly like athletic and undoubtedly action packed. All of that. I mean, it's not worth, you know, it's not worth like arguing against that point because it's not factually correct. All of that's true. But there is an element of like the opening match to me where it's like, well, okay, we've kind of seen it all before. It's the same type of match. It's exciting and it's fast paced, but does it really mean anything? And what I liked about the main event was between the announcers, you know, and the commentary team, like talking up that the what's on the line, all in main event, the world championship opportunity, like all like that framing plus like the hard hitting action that was spots, but wasn't like cutesy spots. It was like, I have to beat you up and I have to beat you to a pulp in order to win this match because there's so much on the line here type spots. That is a synergy that I think AEW needs to try to find more often. I think that really is the sweet spot. And I know that the Young Bucks and Kenny and, you know, Bailey and all, they can have those like quirky, fun matches, but where to me, where AEW like finds its true greatness is when they can have a really good match and couple that with like strong storytelling. And that's something that WWE can't do. Like they can get the storyline aspect down, but the match really kind of just, it only has a certain ceiling on it. And that ceiling is way lower than AEW's. And so if you can bring that storyline element into your matches in AEW and also have the incredible in-ring work to go along with it, like that's what will set you apart. That's what sets that company apart from others. And I thought that they found that synergy in the main event. And again, it's not to say I didn't like the opening match. It's just I'm kind of just numb to that stuff. But the main event felt impactful, and it was a team effort in order to get there. But I think they got there.
Yeah, I mean, just think of what like their biggest show of the year has on the table, right? I mean, you've got Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley, which should be a good match, right? Hopefully. You've got Mercedes and Tony Storm, which will be an incredible match, bell to bell. You'll have the Bucks versus Swerve and Adam Page, ? Should be an incredible match. At least that's what I'm thinking. They're going there. And then you've got Kenny and Okada, which probably will not be the previous 4 matches between them, but should undoubtedly be a good match. And all with pretty good stories going into it as well. And then Travis Scott on the other side. So, yeah, I'm not like to be like pick sides here, but look, and Backlash is not all out or all in, but just look at those 2 cards in comparison. I think your point, at least currently, as a snapshot, you choose what you want as a wrestling fan. I'm glad they're both kind of so different because you can choose what you prefer and focus more on that.
Yeah, and I think when you get to some of these matches, like not so much Kenny and Okada, because I don't think that's not gonna elicit like a passionate response one way or the other. We want Kenny or we want Okada. Like I think that's like a nostalgia match that people just want to see.
Yeah, that's a historic match you're watching live in your mind.
Yeah, right. So it's not and that is fine on a show. But when you get to Will Ospreay against Moxley or Adam Page against Moxley on that show, people are going to care about that outcome big time. And I think people, if they do the feud right, will care a lot about seeing Tony Storm beat Mercedes Moné too. I think that's on the table. We'll see. That's what you want for your big time matches. And then when you do look across the aisle at WWE, you don't quite have that. And so I like that in AEW right now.
Yeah, even like MJF and Bob. Bob Lashley should be like more investment for me personally than I have in Pat McAfee and Gunther.
Oh, well,
personally.
Okay. Let me put a pin in Bob and MJF because I do want to get there, and I disagree with you a little bit, but for this Ospreay, the Ospreay Page thing, what are you expecting between the two? Because we've got a couple weeks here to build that match up. I mean, should they take an approach where they actually kind of try to like feud these two, or is it just, hey, respect, may the best man win? Like what do you think should and will make up kind of the content between these guys the next 3 Dynamites?
Yeah. What do you think Swerve's doing at Double or Nothing? I guess is my question to you.
I think he's going to be a part of whatever Anarchy in the Arena is between Death Riders. Like it's going to be Death Riders and Young Bucks against some team.
And, the heart of AEW versus this.
And I think Swerve will be a part of that.
Yeah. So it's like you don't have him. I think he'd be a very crucial piece here. Somebody who's gone to war with both of these guys in different capacities.
That'd be cool.
So that's like the hard part because I agree with you on that and what he's doing. I think, if you can somehow blend the two, like AEW's been very good about like blending that opening segment between like, hey, here's like segment A and segment B, and here's like the promo, and then into the first match of the night, all that sort of stuff. I think there's a way to do that, and Swerve's a charismatic enough character to be involved in both, and you can join him last minute because like him and Page is so compelling, and him and Ospreay can interact, and it can be cordial, but they're still like, it's like babyface Seth and babyface, I don't know who else, Roman before they had issues. There's like 2 colleagues, but they're both gunning for the same spot, right? There's that dynamic that you know of. I think that's always interesting in pro wrestling. There's not active hate, but there's competition and drive. So that's ideally what I do. I do think they do like tag team with the Callis family, Trent Beretta is going to take a couple L's in the next couple weeks. And then, you kind of go from there where they figured out the Callis thing to make sure that he's not going to interfere and screw. Like maybe you have Paige being tempted by the Callis family to get the edge over Ospreay, and then he denies it, and they're like aligned, like, hey, thanks, brother. Let's go out there like warriors and die on our shields. That sort of go home promo.
Yeah.
Where like they're both over, and like Ospreay will hold the hand up a Paige as he like rolls out of the ring and looks pissed. That sort of setup, which is fine. I do think Swerve as a through line would be way more potent, but we'll see. Maybe they will.
I really like that idea too, of Swerve being involved in this. It does seem kind of like a missed opportunity. If they don't go that route. I also think, when you look at All In and you start piecing together like what the card's going to look like, you need something for Swerve. You need something for, for Adam Page too, because they're not going to, there's still Young Bucks against those two guys that I think is on the table for that show. So even if we don't get, Swerve and Hangman stuff right now, I think it's right around the corner, to be honest. I think that because what do you think they do at All In? Like if that tag team match seems like the most prominent thing that they can do.
Yeah, for sure. For everybody involved too.
Yeah, right.
And that besides the Bucks besides that are going to be ringside for Okada and during his match with Kenny. That's the only other thing they can really do. And they're going to want to be on the card, and then you're going to have FTR taking on the Hurt Syndicate. That would be the other spot if the FTR weren't over his heels, but you put the Bucks there. But I don't think that's a good fit right now either.
You think Copeland and Christian Cage is off the table against FTR at this point?
I sure hope so. But I mean, that's a lot of lifting to do. And I like even Christian last night, I feel like he's got a while to go as a character to have that work for me. That total switch of character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I think it's better if Copeland's a heel because he's a natural heel anyway to me. And Christian's such a good heel. And then you just kind of go from there. If FTR, as Andrew says, they're not heels to me, that's for sure. But, if that's an issue, if they're getting the Seth Rollins heel reaction like they are currently, then
right.
Then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Let's get some chat stuff here on some topics that we're talking about. While we do, if you're in the chat and you're watching on YouTube, hello and thank you. If you're on X and you're watching, hello and thank you. We'd love for you guys to join in. Ask everybody a question, because we've been kind of assuming here that Will Ospreay is gonna beat Adam Page, and I think that's the right assumption. But make your case. I mean, is there anybody in the chat right now that thinks, hey, Adam Page is gonna win? If you are, raise your hand and let us know. But here, we got some stuff in the chat here. First of all, Sean Palikta and Andrew H. and Adam Kidd, they are our Brass Ring Media Gold members, and you can check out what our Gold members are all about on Patreon, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. Sean says, what's up, everyone? And then Andrew says he's asking a question based on what criteria? I think you're talking about good matches. And he says that's as subjective as anything. Clearly, preferences matter. Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because, I mean, obviously preferences matter. That's. I mean, it almost goes without saying. But my point was not so much when we were talking about the main event match quality. It wasn't so much that I just prefer those matches better. I think when you listen and look at the audience reaction. The first match, it's, they're reacting, but it's like, wow, cool, cool move and cool this and cool that and cool spot. Where I think the more passionate reaction comes from in wrestling, and it was articulated well on this show, opposite a match like the opener, is the fact in that main event, you had people caring because they had a reason to care. There was a lot on the line, and that they told the story well. So that's what I was trying to get across there, Andrew. Go ahead, Tyler. Any thoughts on that?
Your pie chart personally on cool moves / just like overall athleticism and crispness, right? I think it's its own bucket story. And that's like what's going into it. Is that like working a body part? Is that,
right.
The ups and downs, the kickouts, all that sort of stuff. That's its own. Each of these has their own pie chart to delve into. And then obviously the stakes are the other. Those are the big three on like what makes a like match good, right? For like broad statement. And it's all personal preference, right?
Yeah.
I think, night one of WrestleMania's main event and last night are certainly like second cousins in style of match, where one's way more crisp, but not as heavy on the storytelling. And the stakes were vastly different. But obviously, like if you watch a lot of wrestling, you know what those stakes are, and they're kind of similar as well on who won that match. And there's not like the big turn, which is the whole focal point of the match. If you don't have the Heyman turn and Seth just wins, not as powerful. But that's like your preference if you like that sort of thing versus someone, quote unquote, earning the win, like the AEW style. I think it's like a big difference on liking the story around the match as opposed to the story in the match, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we also have a comment here from Sean, who is a gold member. It says, I'm pumped about the Hangman Ospreay match, but the rest of the show last night didn't do much for me. I think I'm in the minority, though. Well, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a solid show. I mean, not nothing that's going to like, tear your face off or anything, but like, I thought it was a solid show, solid 2 hours, but I mean, it didn't have a lot of major angles or anything like that in it. So It was very much anchored by the opening match and the ending match.
I would say best show of the week so far, personally, wrestling wise, for me.
Yeah.
We'll see about SmackDown, but of the 4 major shows, is the best one thus far. I guess Collision, best of the 5 so far.
Don't forget about Collision. Don't forget about little old Collision. All right, let's see here. FTR, Andrew says, aren't over as heels. No one is going to cheer them over the Hurt Syndicate. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the Hurt Syndicate to me are baby faces at this point. Wouldn't you say, Tyler? I mean, at this point, like, we have a question from Sean here in a minute about the MJF Hurt Syndicate dynamic. But if you're talking about Hurts, like, I feel like the only team you can put FTR up against to get booed would be the Hurt Syndicate at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just thinking of the hilarity. Yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing over here. I'm thinking, the famous photo of like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi when they're wearing like African garb?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately.
I just see like Adam Copeland doing that, like joining the Hurt Business to take on FTR. And it's just like, it's just popping me huge internally. So I'm sorry for laughing while we're discussing here. But yeah, your original question is FTR. They're the ones to take on the Hurt Syndicate, right? Question mark.
Well, they're the ones. They're the only one. Like because I don't think FTR are heels either. But I think against the Hurt Syndicate, they would be. So if you're angling towards that match at All In or Double or wherever,
agreed.
They're the only ones that can get him. That can get him booed. All right. With that said, let's talk about some of the MJF Hurt Syndicate stuff, because my sentiment on this mirrors what Sean is writing in our chat here. And Sean says here, in the MJF Hurt Syndicate stuff, who are we supposed to cheer for? MJF is coming off weird to me. So I agree with you, Sean. And I'm like, I find this entertaining from like the perspective of I'm watching the show and it's an interesting storyline. Like I will admit to that. Like, I'm like, this is a cool thing that's been going on for like 4 weeks. I thought sometimes they've gotten into a little bit of like a comedic zone with MJF, and we've seen how that went, with the Adam Cole stuff. So I'm glad they kind of pivoted away from that. However, and maybe I'm the only one feeling this, and you tell me if where you're at. I feel like every time Bobby Lashley like gives MJF the thumbs down, the audience wants it to be a thumbs up. They want MJF to join, and if and when Lashley ever gives the thumbs up, like there's a big pop coming for MJF. And like, to me, that's the weird that Sean is talking about. Like, I don't know if this was supposed to get to that point, or they're just kind of riding it out. But are you supposed to boo MJF? Are you supposed to like that he's trying to join this group? Is it supposed to be, inauthentic? Like, I just don't think that they've played that well enough in terms of what kind of response you're supposed to be getting, because what they have now, whether they want it or not, is when MJF joins this group, big pop on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first thing, at least for me and my mindset as I watch this and like analyze it, is this is a mid-card story, right? Which is like where it should be. If this is like, if MJF's the world champion and he's trying to do all this stuff, I'm way more critical on it as like, this is not a main event story, just like we're dealing with the Death Riders. I don't think that's a main event story either, right? I think we can all agree on that. And the only complaint I have about AEW is that currently. But so that's like key in my mind of like, hey, this is fun. This is fun episodic television. This is Jericho and Kevin Owens. I know Owens had the title, but he's still the secondary world champion when that was happening, right? It's like that level of fun that you're going to hopefully remember fondly. And the big thing here is when that big pop does happen, right? And Bobby finally agrees to let Max in. MVP's been the one to defend Max the whole time. It just like softens you up as someone watching the television product whenever this happens to the live crowd, that like these guys are totally aligned, and you play that for a while, and then whoever turns on whoever is like an absolute bastard. And that's like, I think the long play here is like when MJF does like convince MVP to turn on the Hurt Syndicate or whatever. I mean, I think this will be like a little twisty and turny more than like wide open, an obvious thing here. But if Bobby Lashley turns on everybody, he's a mega heel for doing that. Or if Max says that he's the mega heel. So I think that's like, it's mid-card and it's fun and they're all having a good time. And it's a better use of MJF than really anything he's done since his world title reign. So I'm just happy for that. But it's also a way to soften us up as an audience for when MJF does turn and becomes the huge bastard that he always is. It gets him booed tremendously for a period of time.
I think, yeah, well, that's well said. That's well said. And I think that articulates the other side of this, which is it is just a fun thing. It's a fun storyline. I think you can argue and you could debate whether or not MJF should be in this kind of spot, but you can't, nobody can always be at the top of the card. So like, especially in AEW where they circle people in and out of that spot all the time for better or worse. I like MJF and Lashley. I think that's a fresh, I've said this before on the show, like that's a fresh match, a true fresh match that you never would have like just seen or pictured that would happen or could happen or would be cool happening. And I think I think they're kind of there with this. Sean says here, MJF needs to stop trying to get cheered. I don't know what he's going for, but it still feels like he's groveling to them. Derek put it well on Wade's post show last night. So I haven't heard the post show yet, but I get what Sean's trying to say. Do you think that there's diminishing returns in that, Tyler? Like, okay, to me, like the storyline here is fun, but the future of it depends on how well like MJF can show his inauthenticity to the audience. Because you kind of want them to, and this is if Lashley's staying babyface. Mm-hmm. You want the audience and Lashley to both like see what MJF is and see this attempt for what it is as like kind of BS nonsense to help MJF get ahead, right? And he's kind of said that in spots, but it's not emphasized enough. I think that if MJF can pull that off, then all of this, to me, this works better. This works better that if he's trying to join, the audience knows he's doing it strictly to serve himself, and that's it. Lashley sees it. Lashley calls him on his BS, and it never happens. Like he never gets to join because Lashley sees him for the heel bad guy as and doesn't let the snake in the door, right? Mm-hmm. So I almost think that if he gets let in, as much as the pop will be there, I think that like hurts the storyline overall, because then it's like the psychology of Lashley, questioning MJF's like allegiance to the group is kind of off, because people just want to see him in it. You know what I mean? Am I making any sense here, or am I just
yeah? Did you just watch Sinners? You just like kind of described the plot of Sinners.
I kind of just described. Yes, I did. I didn't mean to, but I yeah,
totally just the spoiler vampire. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious if you watch the trailer. And the movie does kind of
derail. I really did. That's crazy.
It kind of derails, in my opinion, when the vampires are. Spoiler, I guess, on that. But yes, yeah, no, I mean, there's lots of ways to go. I was thinking a lot while you're talking about, like, really, this is the all-in match is probably MJF and somebody versus Benjamin and Bobby, right? That's really probably the true match that they're working for, right? So how do you get there? All that sort of stuff. And yeah, I mean, doesn't the audience know, though? Like what you're saying there, I guess they could be more explicit at this point, but doesn't the audience know what Max is doing? We know
they do, but they're cheering him on.
Well, yeah.
So like, so then do they? Like, if like, like that's where I get hung up, because it's like,
yeah, I mean,
they do know, but
yeah, I mean, this feels a lot like our discussion on Monday. I think this might be like a super modern pro wrestling crowd really likes heels doing cool stuff and fun stuff, right?
Yeah,
like Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker getting cheered the way they are is a big problem. And right. MJF continuing to get cheered here kind of derails the story the way that they probably originally mapped it out. So how do you pivot on both to make it work? I think there's lots of ways to do it. I think like MVP and MJF versus Lashley and Shelton Benjamin is like super compelling, because you have MJF who like convinced MVP, their leader, to like abandon them. And that's like a way to get them over his heels and all that stuff. So if that's like, let's say that's on your whiteboard, the plan of the match, I think there's a lot of ways you can get MJF over as a heel for convincing him, MVP to ruin his relationship with these two guys. And they can always come back. It's a big match and a big show. And I think they're such a strong group. You get them back together at some point. He sees the error of his ways and they reunite. And that's like another version of the Hurt Syndicate. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly an issue, but I do think it's kind of just the MJF character that we have to deal with on a consistent basis. Like, what would MJF be doing right now if he was in WWE, do you think? Like, who would he be feuding with?
I mean,
let's say he's been there 2 years, he's on the main roster.
Damian Priest, probably. Somebody like
that. Yeah, like, where is he on the card? Is he in that, like, Drew McIntyre zone? Or is he
I think lower? Probably, yeah.
So, like, is he trying to join Judgment Day, right? And, like, is he getting cheered for trying to join Judgment Day? And, like, what is that doing? All that sort of stuff. I think it's not like, I guess I don't really have a point here besides, like, I do think this is, like, an issue with the MJF character no matter what. And this is, like, him trying to replay the hits of him following Chris Jericho, following Cody Rhodes, and, like, getting over as a main event guy. I think he is, like, using some of those beats of what got him over previously and trying to, like, remix that in his own way here. Is, like, the real crux of it. And being that bastard that turns on the guys everybody loves and ruining. I think really in MJF's mind, this is like for Max, not the character. It's like, I will join this group and everyone's going to love us, and then I'm going to ruin it, and that's going to get everyone to hate me. I think is like the real goal here. So, yeah,
and it's worth saying. You got to let it play out. We got to see where it goes. We have to see where this goes. Sean is in our chat saying Bobby knows, but MVP is buying it because he thinks they can manipulate him. Yeah, that's an element we haven't brought up. He has said that multiple times, that Max can help us get what we want as a group. So that's important to call out. Good point, Sean.
Yeah, like he can get a title shot and they'll be like, hey, all right, this is where thanks for being in the group. Give it to Bobby now because he's the leader. And that's like MVP talking to MJF, and that's like, no, I'm not doing that. What are you talking about? That sort of thing. I think is like a fun dynamic that they can do as a group. And like, honestly, if they're like a group that is kind of tweeners and like runs through people, if you, God forbid, want to make those trios titles, which I don't know who currently has them. I know that the Ops has them currently.
The Ops,
right? But whatever. I hate even saying that out loud, so forget I said it.
I was going to say the same thing about the Ops. It's like that's one of the weirdest faction names for that group.
Well, I'm just saying, like that I brought up, not the Ops particularly, but the trios titles in general.
I see. Well, yeah, you don't want to say those words either.
That's like a wrestling media sin to bring up trios titles or ROH titles or
North Emdar. We don't talk about him either.
Yeah, what's he? Is he a?
He's back now and won at the Heritage Cup in NXT.
Oh yeah, that's not like that's like an Owen thing. Yeah.
Yes.
What are the big dumb belts that Cody and Liv Morgan won?
the Crown Jewel titles?
Yeah, Crown Jewel titles. Like, all that sort of stuff. Like, it's a sin to bring those up on the show here.
Yeah, we do not. Yeah, no, we don't. Yeah, there's some things on the no list, and yeah, that's it. Awesome. So, Brandon, we'll go to Brandon's comment here. I think MJF, as of now, is kind of a one-note character. It can be entertaining at times, but still just kind of one note, which makes it hard to throw him in a storyline and keep it believable. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think that's true. And I think if MJF takes a look in the mirror, he'd see that and work to develop his game a little bit, because it got to the point where, it was the same kind of storyline over and over with him. Like, Babyface wants to fight him. He won't let it happen. They run through the gauntlet.
The trials of Hercules to get
the trials. They beat the trials. They have the match with MJF. MJF wins, and then bring the next one in. And he tried, I think, to show some range as a babyface with Adam Cole, and that didn't work at all. And now he's got to find the next iteration. What?
You sure that didn't work? I don't remember.
No. That's single-handed. Yeah, no.
That was like going to be another point of like how talented MJF is as a professional wrestler. That he was the guy in the story that almost like destroyed the company, and he still gets a chance to like be on TV every week because he's that freaking talented.
Yeah.
So just always remember that.
For sure.
And like I would do the same. Like, he is that talented, and he like still almost like, if AEW went away in early 2024, MJF would be like the killer of major companies, would be his gimmick.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. And he's kind of been reborn here, but I think like he has to find some more range. He's got to figure out what he wants to be. Does he want to be a heel that draws money or entertaining? Because I think you can be both, but you don't necessarily want to be both. I think, like Steve Austin can be funny, but that was not a good turn for him as far as like his character went. Like, just because you could do it doesn't mean you should do it. And
I thought you were talking about that turn on the ATV he made.
Well, that too. Oh, it was he said it was what did he say? It was something with a throttle issue, quote unquote.
I don't know. All I know is he hit that thing, and the lady waited 3 seconds and then fell over.
She did. Like, oh my God, this guy's a millionaire. Nick Khan sitting right there. Dive.
Yeah. Did you see how much? Sorry, can I switch very quickly here? Topic. Did you see the Elite package? I think it's called the Elite, Elite package for SummerSlam.
I did.
Yeah. So you saw the price?
Yes.
So this is like Smiley. What's the guy's name? Like green smiley face shirt guy. This is like where he sits. So those tickets, front row, camera side, right? So hard cam facing you.
Hard cam facing you.
For SmackDown. Is there an NXT show on Saturday morning?
No. So it's
SmackDown night 1, night 2, Raw, and then you get to go to the press conference.
Yeah.
Which Zach and I have had the opportunity to and chose not to go to, just for what it's worth. I think. And then you get a photo op at the press conference table and in the ring. And you get to meet Kevin Nash, I think, was like the package. And you get like catering, right? So, hey, if for whatever this is, like besides the seating, like just be in media and like work your ass off and get a media credential, because it's basically a media credential. The cost of this was $40,000 and it sold out like instantly. So what the fuck?
If you were hoping for WWE ticket prices to go down anytime soon, they're not going to.
Yeah. So
now I just like we're shelling out $40,000.
Yeah. So just know, whatever these people do, like know they can spend $40K on No match announced. Travis Scott and John Cena versus Cody Rhodes and Little Nas X. I don't know. Whoever else, whatever other celebrity in Bad Bunny, right? Cody, Bad Bunny versus Travis Scott and John Cena could very well be your main event. And these people paid $40,000. So,
I mean,
I hope it is. And I would look at all these people and be like,
that's just obscene.
Good for you for whatever you've done or whoever died, etc. So
this is obscene pricey. Obscene. Yeah. Speaking of which, did you see pricing like AEW's advertising their low ticket prices now? Did you see that? Did you get that ad?
No, I don't. Thankfully, don't sign up for any like wrestling stuff.
Well, this was on TV last night, or at least in this market. But that's because they've got a show coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
They were promoting that, hey, our tickets are cheap, $20. You can get in for 20. They're taking like the opposite approach to WWE, which is you don't got to pay a lot. Now, that has its pros and cons, because you definitely come off as like, number two when you do that. But at the same time, you might as well. That's a big selling point now. So, like, you might as well. So but yeah, I thought that was interesting. Okay, guys, last topic here before we wrap it all up on AEW. They teased Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But the question that I wrote down for us to discuss here briefly is, should AEW like try to put an AEW story on this, or should you just let it be a history nostalgia match that it inevitably is? Like, is it worth? And this is coming from me, who very much thinks storyline's important. But when I'm watching those two last night, I'm just like, man, like this may be a time where you just put them in the ring and then and that's it. Because if you build it up as this like epic, this epic encounter of this, old New Japan feud, it's like, that was what, 7 years ago now? Like they're not going to wrestle that match anymore. And it's also in a different company, different fans. It's not going to be that. It can still be really good, but it's not going to be a reincarnation of what their matches were.
They're both early 30s back then.
Yeah, like there's just no way. There's just no way. So do you let it just breathe and be a nostalgia match, or should you try to like actually work angles and work a current storyline into this? And I didn't have a good answer to that, but I like the teases, and I think it's like a good drawing second or third match from the top at All In. I think it's like I think it's spotted really well in that slot.
Yeah, it's so hard. I think Tony's having the same question to himself, or did.
I think he is. Yeah,
because it's like obviously you should like make this its own trilogy. That you have the New Japan. Well, there's 4 matches because you have the G1 match, but really it's a trilogy of singles matches that are not time limit draws in New Japan, and you kind of want to do, I think, the same thing on paper. But I mean, we all love Kenny Omega. But just think of like him coming out and like talking about the cuck chair with the Bucks, and not even getting the young cucks over as like a term that he wanted people to do because he didn't say it. Like his like instincts are bad. Yeah. Think of his Will Ospreay feud, right? The best thing he laid out. I just remember it was like in Cleveland or something because I was there live. Maybe it was in Columbus, but like the show went off the air and then Kenny cut this like incredible promo on Will Ospreay that they showed and cut up and showed later that next week. Because it was like not live, it was after the show. And so Kenny's got bad instincts just to carry it like a story. And Okada obviously couldn't be bothered. And Tony's not able to ask him to be bothered. So it's like, and you got to think too, like, just think of like how that match was built. That's like, at least for me, I don't know if your story's any different, Zach, but like for me, it was, I like was like told to watch, hey, Kenny Omega is this great guy who won the G1. He's going to have this match with Okada. I was probably like late December, turned on to it. And I was like, okay, I'll buy this New Japan thing. I'll figure it out and I'll watch it because Kenny's finisher looked crazy and it looked like they were doing crazy stuff. And I watched the match. incredibly impressed because it was the thing to do back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that's like a 1.5-year story where I'm watching pay-per-views and that's it. I'm not watching anything else. And like we just don't consume AEW in that way. And that's really how the story like worked, was because it was just like, oh, cool. In 6 months I get another one, and it'll just instantly pick up where this one left off. And it's because I don't consume it on a regular basis that I can do it that way. And you almost have to book this in that way, which I think is what you're leaning to, of like just get in the ring, and then like if it's good, we'll do a trilogy here and make our own version of it. But I just don't think they can like sell a match on television with those two guys, at least right now, without an epic contest between them, because it's too much lifting to do. Like if you don't know about it by now or care about it, then I don't think there's anything they can say or do before they get in the ring on pay-per-view for you to care.
Yeah, and so Sean says here, go deep into their history. It's still early, but I hope they do something. Okada needs to get more invested. So I agree with you on the Okada thing for sure. This will be one of those moments that, rest assured, like he's going to want to bring it in this match. I don't doubt that. But the thing is, with going into their history, it's like, I think you obviously want to tell their history, but again, I think you do at the same time want to balance that a little bit here with, you're not trying to recreate the history. You want it to be another really great chapter in that history. So it really depends on how they tell that story. Like you don't want to set it up as like the 5th epic encounter between Kenny Omega and Okada. Look at all that they did before and title matches and all this. Because I just don't think that they'll live up to that. You have to sell to me, Sean, you have to sell the audience on what the match is now, not what it was. Sell it what it is right now. And so I think you do that with a mixture of these things. Like, yeah, you sprinkle in some history, but they got to be able to sell it in this environment. So, and so for as fun as the tease was, Sean is out there saying, and Sean's a big wrestling fan who watches AEW all the time, I'm not invested at all right now, other than people saying how great of a match it will be. And I can sympathize with that point, because if you don't know Okada's past, you're like okay, big deal.
Yeah.
And that they have to, it's a tough rope to walk for sure.
If you want to get like real crazy outside the box, I don't know if this is too crazy, I would almost like have like 3 Collision episodes be like, hey, for the first hour, here's Kenny Okada 1. Okay, next week we're doing Kenny Okada 2. We're just showing it in its entirety on cable television in the United States with the Jim Ross call, who's part of your company. Him and Josh Barnett were the guys who would get in the studio and watch the feed, which was kind of confusing. But JR was better back then. Like the Access. I don't know if they have rights to that, though. I was on Access. So they probably, whatever. Tony's got unlimited money. He can make it happen. Like, honestly, you just like, I think you do something like that to like force people like, hey, if you really want to watch this, you don't have to go on New Japan World, figure it out. Like, here's what your friend is calling the greatest match they've ever seen. Here it is. Just DVR it on Saturday. We'll show it in entirety, and we'll get you excited to watch it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and also like I think like, because Okada's not going to cut like a long promo on this, but I think so you got to trust Kenny to bring it, and like he's got to be able to like, and this may be like a pre-tape or something like that with Renee Paquette, but like he's got to be able to capture the history and also the now of them. And only he can do that, because I don't think Okada just doesn't have the promo chops to do it. Kenny has bad instincts, but he can hit home runs on the microphone occasionally. Yeah. And I think the onus is really on him to figure out that balance. And it's a promo, and it's a promo that can touch on their history, but also touch on, but I'm an AEW now, and I'm the AEW International Champion now, and all this has happened since the last time we've wrestled. And, it's going to feel like, all of our old haunts are right out there in front of us, but it's a new time and it's AEW, and, go from there. But they have to strike a delicate balance of referencing the old for the folks that know what that means, but also cultivating new for people like Sean and others that have no idea why this is big. And I think the interesting thing about the argument is it has their pros and cons. Like there's cons in not talking about their history. There's pros in not talking about it either and just focusing on right now. And the same thing is in reverse too. Man, but it's not a main event. It's for a secondary championship, and I think that's where it should be. Like I think that's a good spot for it. A good spot for it on All In. So thumbs up to that. All right, guys, we've went a little bit long here. We will wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us on this kind of new era Brass Ring Media endeavor that we've got going on. Once again, make sure to subscribe to all of our platforms. We are on Substack, search Brass Ring Media. That's written content every day. We are on your favorite podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. Search Brass Ring Media. We're there. Check us out. Subscribe on YouTube, Brass Ring Media. If you haven't done so already, do that. And then also, once again, check out our membership options at patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. We are going to go record some member content, member-only podcast that will drop this week and this weekend. Don't forget about the Kick-Ash podcast coming up on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And yesterday on the channel, Robert and his show Nocturnal Knockout tackled the question, has John Cena versus Randy Orton ever really been good? Is it as good as they say? It's a good show. It's a fun show. And check that out. It's up on the channel now and on the podcast feed. Sean says here, loyal member here. Appreciate you guys. Ashley on Saturday. Don't miss Ashley on Saturday. I promise you, it's going to be the funnest show that you listen to this week. It rivals even this one. Folks. So check it out. Kick-Ash podcast on Saturday morning. Any final words, Tyler?
I was just going to do the Bobby Lashley on the John Cena or Randy Orton matches ever matter. And
do it.
That's a thumbs down. I can't even think of any. Like I know there's like a billion, but yeah, I can't think of like, hey, oh yeah, I remember Backlash 2010. Like I can't think of like a place where it happened. I know it's happened. I can't think of where it happened. So that's a bad sign.
Yeah, and the thing is,
I remember Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe, Great Balls of Fire. I'll never forget that as the main event of that crazy show. It wasn't good. At least I remember it. So,
yeah,
Brock Lesnar, John Cena, SummerSlam,
and that's saying something. Something.
Where's that Brock Lesnar elbowing Randy Orton on SummerSlam today?
They both were on SummerSlam.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, both.
I remember those. So that's something.
Listen to the show, guys, because Robert does get into some deep cut Randy Orton, John Cena matches, and it had me going like, really? They wrestled at like bragging rights? Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah. Well, I wonder why viewership went from 4 million on average to 1 million at the end of the Cena run. It's crazy.
It's shocking. Yeah. Oh, it's all cable. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you all real soon. See you later.